I'm Jahawi Batoli, eco-filmmaker and wildlife specialist.
And I'm Ella Meek, co-founder of Kids Against Plastic and all-round animal lover.
Welcome to our weekly update on the health of the planet and its animals.
This is The Pulse.
Coming up on today's programme,
The clever invention stopping waste from going up in smoke.
the winners of the Environmental Photographer of the Year Awards.
And we shine a light on some of the more surprising eco-news stories.
Hey Ella.
Hi Jahawi, I'm very jealous of the weather you've got there once again.
Well, you know, it's lovely in the shade, but if you step out into the sunshine, it is so hot.
Maybe a bit too hot, we need a compromise. So Jahawi, a story that I found really interesting that I think we should start this week's show with is that India is said to be the world's biggest polluter of CO2 emissions because of crop waste and agricultural activities. So the report says that India is said to have released 5 billion tonnes of CO2 emissions between 2015 and 2020 alone. And this is about 1 billion tonnes a year, which is 3% of total global average CO2 emissions.
I mean, that's a staggering figure. What exactly is, burning of agricultural waste?
So at the end of a harvest, the farmers are left with lots of crop residue and waste, and the best way to deal with this problem, and the cheapest and easiest way, is really just to burn it. Luckily, lots of people are coming up with alternative ways of how to deal with this waste. And one of the people who have come up with an alternative is Earthshot Prize winners Takachar. So just take a look at this short clip that explains all about their invention.
My name is Vidyut and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Takachar. Takachar has a mission to fight climate change by drastically scaling the utilization of waste agricultural residue. Worldwide, more than $120 billion worth of waste like paddy straw, coconut shells, rice husk, sugarcane trash is burnt in the open, which otherwise could have been used productively. So this is how our process works. You take any kind of agricultural residue like coconut shells, and those are fed into the machine. It undergoes oxygen lean torrefaction, which is essentially heating the biomass between 200 and 350 degrees Celsius. Once the conversion has happened, it is conveyed and cooled, and the end product comes out in a carbon-rich, dense form. It's then suitable to be used as a raw material to make various products like fuels, fertilizers, and chemicals like activated carbon.
I spoke to Kevin, CTO and founder of Takachar, to find out more. Hi Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations for your Earthshot Prize win.
Winning Earthshot Prize was a big surprise to us, but we are very much honored and humbled by it.
What stage of development is Takachar at now?
Right now we're in prototyping stage, so we have a few prototypes, some small, some larger, scaled up, deployed in the field. And right now we work with around 5,000 farmers.
So what are the next steps for you?
And I think for us and for the Royal Foundation too, I think both of us would like to see the solution scaled and its impact accelerated.
Thanks so much, Kevin. So Jahawi, something that I was really shocked by was this video. Just take a look.
Wow, I mean, that is a crazy clip. I mean, look at just how that hippo is basically erupting out of the water.
Yeah, I know. It's keeping up with a speedboat in Zambia. And at first I was a bit skeptical about if the clip was actually real because I knew hippos could move quickly, but I didn't realize they were that fast.
What a lot of people don't realize is hippos don't actually swim. They run along the bottom. This hippo is literally running along the floor of the river and jumping up, and it's exerting itself so much that it's having to come up for air so much.
When you see it chasing the speedboat, what I'm thinking is I would not want to be in a race with a hippo.
Yeah, well, hippos are some of the most dangerous animals here in Africa, and they're responsible for quite a number of deaths. I mean, they can grow up to 2 tons and outrun a human at over 50 kilometers an hour. So it's really best to stay away from them. I'm a passionate photographer, so I was super excited to see the winners of this year's Environmental Photographer of the Year Awards.
Oh yeah, I was reading about that. It was really cool. Over 7,000 images from 120 nations that were submitted to the 8 categories. And they're all about telling the story of the climate crisis and the people who are working to raise awareness of it.
So, the categories were all won by incredible images. My favourite photograph won the climate action category, and it's a photograph entitled The Last Breath. And it's a really poignant photograph taken by Kenyan photographer Kevin Ochengonyango. And earlier I got to speak to him about this photograph. Hi Kevin, firstly a huge congratulations on winning the award.
Thank you, Jahawi. Yeah, I'm very privileged to have won the E40 Climate Action Award.
So, can you tell me a little more about the concept behind this photograph?
Okay, the image itself is titled The Last Breath. Yeah, it shows a young boy taking in air from a plant. And so this is just to show what is to come if we keep on pushing nature to its core.
What motivated you to make this photograph?
Where I come from in Nairobi, Dandora, yeah, we have like this very huge dump site. It's like acres and acres of land. It's called Dandora dump site. It is really taking a toll on pollution here. It's very polluted here. So I decided to speak out on the issue of how did we get to here? How did we get to acres of land being a landfill?
So what did you want people to think when they see this picture?
I want people to think of, not of us, people to think of the younger generation, our grandkids, our kids, how they will survive while we are constantly cutting down the trees, when you are constantly polluting the air with fossil fuels.
So Jahawi, can you guess what that is?
No. And I'm not going to hazard a guess, actually.
Yeah, I was a bit confused when I first saw it too, but it's actually a bladeless wind turbine. And the way it works is that the cylinder vibrates in the wind, the vibrations are then harnessed by an alternator, and then they're turned into electricity.
Wow, that's such a clever idea. I mean, having no blades is actually great for wildlife because birds get caught up into the blades, and so having one without blades sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, there can be some really positive outcomes from having these, because not only is it better for the environment, like you just mentioned, it can fit into smaller spaces, so you can have more of them in a certain area, or they can even fit into small areas like your back garden.
Well, having one in your backyard may draw some strange stares from your neighbours, but you know what? It's all for a good cause.
Yeah, and I think our neighbours are kind of used to our environmental projects in our garden by now, so we might have to invest in one.
So, there's some really positive news coming out of Nepal. After a 10-year conservation effort in the Chitwan National Park, tiger numbers have almost doubled to 240 individuals.
Oh, that's amazing news. I mean, it's still a very low number because tigers are very, very endangered. In fact, the WWF estimate that globally there are about 3,900 tigers left in the wild, and that's it.
There are 13 countries in Asia that have wild tigers, and Nepal is one of them. And these countries came together to actually pledge a doubling in numbers by 2022. And Nepal is the only country that is on track to actually achieving this pledge.
What is it that Nepal's doing that can be replicated?
Well, there is severe punishment for poachers. And on top of that, they have heavily armed guards who do regular patrols of these areas and a lot of community outreach.
Oh, that's amazing then. Are there any problems that the tigers are still facing?
Well, you know, they're actually kind of a victim of their own success because all of a sudden you've got this increase in tiger numbers, but not an increase in space. So that's putting them in conflict with each other. And to top it all off, you've got the human-wildlife conflict issue on the outside, which is putting pressure on them.
I did actually hear that the park is aiming to expand, so hopefully that can solve the problem of overpopulation a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if I've mentioned Jahawi, but I'm actually vegan.
Yes, you have mentioned it.
Just a few times. But I do love seeing vegan alternatives in the news more and more. And something that I was really impressed with this week was celebrity chef Marco Pierre White actually introducing 3D printed steaks into his restaurants.
Did you just say 3D printed steaks?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think of 3D printing for plastics, but what's inside a 3D printed steak?
It's made from plant-based alternatives, but they don't actually say what, and they don't really say how it's made either. So I'd really like to know more about what is inside it.
Now, I have my own vegan substitute story as well. And it's actually from a company called Kuleana, and they're making vegan substitute tuna. They use a combination of radish, bamboo, algae to create this tuna that is apparently super healthy for you, but without all the mercury and all the heavy metals that come with wild-caught tuna.
It's really good to see all of these alternatives. It's very different to when I first went vegan and there was hardly anything, just alternatives to cheese that weren't very nice.
So, tune in again next week for more vegan recipes.
This is not going to be an every week thing now. We're not just going to end it with bad jokes every time, Jahawi.
And on that note, bye-bye.
Bye.